I am recording.
Jon, you're muted.
Right, so it looks like recording and I'm now unmuted. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Good, right. So everything's working tickety-boo. I'm happy about that. So yeah, as you just said there, Alexa, yeah, my name is Jon Waite. Now, this is a map of the UK, and I do have another map. I'm originally from near the Lake District, which is on the northwest part of England, just near the border of Scotland. I've been living in Newcastle now for 11 years, of course, which is in the northeast of England. Studied computer and network technology at Northumbria University, which is in Newcastle. And when I decided to try moving back to the Lake District, thought it was too quiet, and I've moved back to Newcastle again. So, and I've been here ever since. When I am not working and when there's no lockdown, I do like a game of pool. I love my live concerts, comedy, pub quiz, well, pub in general. Escape to the countryside. Still do the odd bit of running, cycling, photography. So I do have hobbies when I'm not sitting by a computer. And I've been doing this sort of stuff now for about 8 years. If you want to include university, make it about 10 or 11. If we start looking at the map, you can see there's a bit of a difference of the map of where Newcastle is to Halifax. I did have a look of, as the crow flies, how far it is. It is 2,755 miles between the two locations. So you're talking nearly 3,000 miles there, so quite a bit. So if we just take an extract here of what's on WP Beginner, or what is a theme. And this is the only slide where I actually do include all the text, by the way. It is basically a tool to change the layout and design of your website. And it's a case where themes customize the appearance of your site, including the layout, typography, colors, and other design elements. It's zipped up in a folder with many files, written in PHP, which is a programming language, compiled with style sheets, that's like the colors and the layout, which is called CSS. When you create a WordPress site, it comes with the WordPress default theme, which nowadays it is the 2021 theme, which usually is named after the year that you're in, of course. Usually you get the year before as well in the installation, so you can pick. And you can change your WordPress theme to match your needs or whatever industry you are in. Common sense, the last bit is choosing the right theme can make your website more attractive, easy to use, improve visitor engagement. So, like I said, that is an extract that I found earlier on today. So, here's four types of themes, I believe, and if there's any more, please let me know. You've got the standard WordPress theme, or themes I should say. So that was saying a 2021 theme, or the ones that come on a pre-install. You've got your free themes, which that's the case where you go into your WordPress themes directory, you search what you want, you just activate it, and away you go. And some you have quite a bit of flexibility, some you are very limited, and it is really potluck what it is that you actually get with that. You've got the paid themes, so you've got two sorts of paid themes. You've got your subscription model paid themes where you're paying so much for a year. Actually, you've got three. You've got the subscription model. You've got the ones where you buy a license individually, where it's a case of each theme that you buy, you pay about $60. Which is about £50 in the UK. Or you've got the lifetime licenses. So if you're agency, you can buy a lifetime license for about $150 to $200, so about £100 to £150 in the UK, which I have actually done all of them in the past. I do have a lifetime license for Themify. I'm just going to quickly plug my charge in. I've just realised that it's not plugged in. I don't want it to go off, so apologies about that. Right. Oh, 1 second. Right, I'm charging. So yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, you've got the case where I've got Themify lifetime licenses, and I sell it as a service. I've had the free ones. I've downloaded many of them themes. I know the differences. I know the similarities between them, and of course, I've paid for themes one-off when I've done a project for a client. And then the final one, which I'm talking about today, is bespoke theming, and that is where the theme is built using the HTML web programming language, using style sheets, which we said before, CSS. PHP, of course, is a fundamental part of the WordPress core. And if you are looking at animation, then additional JavaScript is also embedded as well. And putting all that together, if it's hard-coded where you've wrote it yourself, or you include other libraries, and if you're familiar with this sort of stuff, you've got stuff like Bootstrap, Font Awesome. There's various, there's Animate.io, which and Animate CSS, which I've used. You can all include that, and at least then you just include what it is that you need. It'll be like building a house and then putting in the stuff that you actually need. So what files you have, if you're looking at your general directory in WordPress, you've got the folder which is called WP content, which of course WP stands for WordPress. You've got then the themes folder, and then you've got the theme name, and you've got the files within the theme. And if I go on to the next slide, I've included many file names which are important, and I'm going to go through these in better detail anyway. So if what do all these mean, don't worry, I will put this in simpler terms for you. You've got your header and footer, which is a standard. You've got your index file, which is used mainly for the blogs. You've got your page file, which is a standard page, which is not a blog page. Your style, CSS, which of course is your styling. Your functions PHP, which is extra rules that you put in place, and that's usually more for the back end of the website, or if you could include extra libraries. Then you've got the screenshot PNG, which is basically the file that you see when you come to select your theme. If you like install it for a client, or you send it as a zipped version of the themes for them to download themselves. You've got other files as well, which should be considered. You've got your 404 file, which I know I see websites which do some great error pages. There's also the 500 as well, which I forgot to put on there. 404 being page not found, 500 being internal error. I've seen some great ones, and I've seen people that forget about it. I've seen both. You've got the front page, which basically forces the home page, especially if the home page is a different style to the rest of the website. You've got the page dash and then whatever template name. So you could have like page dash contact or page dash about. And with that, it's a case where you could have, let's say, the page.php, which I mentioned on the last slide. You could have that for 20 pages. You could have page.contact form, which is different to that. And page.about or something which is different. So you've got the functionality there for pages that you want a certain template, and I'll show you in the back end as well how to select that. Or if you've got a standard rule set, then of course you don't have to do page.template. By the way, you just stick to one layout. And finally, you've got sidebar PHP, which usually I create the file anyways, but if I don't put anything in it, then it just means I'm not using the sidebar within the website. Now, if anyone's familiar with sort of the file structures, like I said, I've mentioned the files here, and this is using an FTP program, which is FileZilla, which is a file transfer utility, which you can either download it as a software downloaded to your machine, your PC or your Mac. Or also you can use something like cPanel or Plex and be able to access it within the web browser. You can put stuff in folders as well. So for example, with this site, which I'm going to demonstrate, they've got two libraries, Font Awesome and Bootstrap, which I know in the folders, I've got all the Bootstrap files in there. I've got extra style sheets. I've downloaded fonts, so like Google Fonts. So if you've got a particular font that you want to use, you can drop them in there. JavaScripts, and then I've used various other styling templates as well. You could actually make one for like template files, so you could put all your pages in there, and that wouldn't cause any harm either. But with this site, I've only got one extra page layout, which is the contact form. But the fundamentals is, like I said, is these 7 files there. They are must, and I'm going to go through them with you very shortly. So I'll just go through like the basics. This is a standard sort of header file, and if you've done web development before, a lot of this should be common knowledge. If it's new to you, I'll go through it very briefly. A lot of it's self-explanatory. The language attributes pulls in. Basically, if it says PHP at the start, it's pulling in from WordPress. So you've got the language rules which are coming in from WordPress itself. You've got the title. So when you look at a website, you've got the title of the website, which is put in your WordPress setting, and then blog info name, which is the title of the website. For example, this is a lodge called Fallowfield Lodge, which I'm going to show you. So the title will be Fallowfield Lodge -about, or Fallowfield Lodge -contact us, something like that. I've hard coded in the favorite icon, but you can actually do the same. So you could actually pick that within the WordPress theme settings. These stuff that I know will never change for the customer, so I put it in manually. But you've got the flexibility where you can add stuff in in the WordPress settings for them to change themselves, or especially if you're making a theme that you're going to offer as a service to give to someone else. You've got the get template directory. So that's kind of what I was saying earlier before. That's the WP content theme. In this case, it's /prestige lodge / and then we're saying about the CSS folder. That sort of thing. Of course, if you do rename the theme, or of course the directory is different, then it's not going to break all of a sudden. Same again. This is a standard sort of blog page. Like, I'm not going to be talking about advanced custom fields. That's been on another presentation. I've been told by Alison and Alexa that you've just done one recently. So, and we've done one recently as well. So basically, with their field, we know it's advanced custom fields. But when we do, and same again with actually with the title is a WordPress rule. So that's what I was saying, like the about page or that sort of stuff. So like for blog, I'm pulling the blog, I'm doing a header, that sort of thing. And then finally what this is doing, which is same again, is standard WordPress sort of coding, which you can copy and paste from many a website. This is saying if there's any post, show the contents of the post. It's as simple as that. Header, which is the header PHP, the footer, and then the WordPress footer as well, which is basically the core WordPress files. This is one bit that is very important. A lot of people forget about this. The style.css, a CSS file is important for the style of how it looks. In WordPress, it is also very important that you have those 7 lines there, because what that is basically what the theme name is, the author, the link to the author, and a description. And on the next slide, which I'm just going to show you now, this is an example there. So I've got Street Lodge, Advertise1, and my link. And you can see there that would be a clickable link. There's the description, and there's the version number. So them two interlink with each other. And like I said, that is very important that you do that. And then what I was saying earlier on, you've got a screenshot.png file, which of course you can drop that in, and that will be that picture there. I will find the dimensions. I forgot to put it in the slide, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of, I think it's about 1024768 style, but I will check the exact dimensions, and I will include it in the chat, or I'll mention it later on when we go into the chat after the presentation. But anyways, regardless of that, yeah, you can put your own image there, style it in Photoshop, Canva, whatever program you want to use, and save it as a PNG file. So yeah, live demonstration. Let me just load up the website. So that is the page. Let me just check. Yeah, so you can see what I'm doing. Let me just quickly come out of Zoom. So, like I said, we've talked about this. We've said about the links and that very sort of thing. I've also said you can edit the files also within WordPress if your host allows you to do so. You can normally update the files there and then. Ideally, it's a case you should back up the website, or and I normally prefer doing it externally anyway, just because I've got more functionality within rules, because I get like the error lines if I do something wrong. But I do know WordPress is actually getting better at telling you if you do a typo, that sort of thing. We're looking at the customized theme. So we're saying about the site identity. So I said about the site title before, which is pulls through, and that was the page title, which I mentioned earlier on. I said about the favorites icon, but I've not coded it in for this website, but it is definitely codable. The menu. Now, of course, you can either set it so you've got the menu that pulls in here, or you can also set the menu in another way, where the way I've done it for this website is where it pulls out the header menu, and I can set the page location within the pages, and I'll go through the pages with you in a second. This is standard WordPress rules. What's the home page? And that's what I was saying about the home.frontpage.php file before. And if you've got a post page to use, this site hasn't got a post page, by the way, but if you've got a blog, news, that sort of thing, not a problem.
Jon,
I don't need to use additional CSS because I'm coding it in manually within the WordPress site.
Jon, there's a question for you in the chat that I'm going to ask on behalf.
Right, well, I'll stop and answer any questions now before I go ahead, if that's any use.
Yeah.
Right,
the question is, it sounds like, considering you're doing lots of work on this, what do you use for your own backups as you're working on your themes?
Yep, so for backups, if I'm doing a minor change, I will use Updraft Backup, which you can use as a plugin, which the free version is absolutely fine. You can download it from the WordPress plugins directory. As for when I'm backing up files and I'm not doing database changes, I'll just use FileZilla, drop the files, and just literally just move it onto my desktop. Like, you've got that same, because I'm not making any changes to the database. At this point, I'm not doing any updates to the plugins. I'm happy enough just to drop the file onto my desktop and give it version numbers that way. And because you're only downloading the theme, you're downloading the images, then of course this is the way that you can do that. If you want to be extra safe, then you've got tools like All-in-One WordPress Migration. You can use your host to actually do a full backup or zip up the whole directory completely. But for theming, yeah, like I said, WP content themes, you just have to back up the theme name, and it's going to save you on a lot of space if that's of course that's the only thing you change, and you're not doing anything with the pictures or the updates, that sort of thing. Is there any other questions, or do you want me to keep going on and keep going on with the demo?
On the demo, yeah, I'm keeping an eye on the chat here. So as questions, I've told folk to ask questions, and I will try to pick you when there's a little moment.
Not a problem. Okay, right, I'll keep going then. So let me just get the page back up. So I said about the pages, and this is there's only 4 pages in this website, so quite a simple site. And you can see here that it's not in alphabetical order. I'll show you exactly why in a second. This order here is meeting the same order of left to right, which I've got on the menu on the top, or on top to bottom on the mobile layout. When I go into the website, I've got 2 layouts here. So this one, I've got a header image, which I say it's on advanced custom fields, so which was talked about quite a bit back. Now this one here, I have hard coded the home template, where it's a case where the text with this one I go and change it manually. If I look at the front page, this is using, you can say, standard standard HTML to show what's going on, and even that I've got this hard coded. But like I said before, I have built sites where the customer can change it using either WordPress core or advanced custom fields to change. Basically, like I said, you've got the footer, you've got the header, that sort of thing, which matches exactly what we've got here. So that's, like I said, just a standard layout. And if you've done HTML, CSS coding before, but never used it with WordPress, then I like to think that it's not a massive jump in the learning curve initially to start doing it this way. Then you can go back and code in then variables, which you then be able to change within the content management system, that's what basically WordPress is. It's great for that. Let's look at another page where I know I have coded more. So if we look at the lodge description, and I'll just get that page up for you. Now, of course, I've got the lodge description here, and I've got a photo slider. In the same way, I've coded it in, where I'm using Gutenberg here to then bring out the text. And then I'm using a plugin code to then pull out the image. So of course that's linked to another plugin. We've got no issues there. And if I look at the file for that, that will be a page.php. Let me just move that. Yeah, so of course I've got the title, which is of course within that title there is basically that title and the text. Actually, I think I've got the wrong page. 1 second. So that is the right page. And then it's a case where the content is shown underneath. So even though it's a page, it's still using the same template, and the content is basically what is here within. Now, one thing I was saying earlier on, and we can do this with the contact form, is we can either go down the standard page route, or I've got the page contact, which this one here I pull in a Google Maps, so I don't need that for all the pages. And I also do a slightly different section here of how the contact page actually looks. Now, of course, like I say, it's two different sets of code, but to the WordPress CMS, it's a case where do you want to pick the default template or do you want the contact page template? And that's, of course, that page dash comes in handy. And where you set the name for the template is similar to what I was saying about the style CSS. It's short. It's in the first few lines. It's here at the top: template name, contact page. And like I say, you can just duplicate this and then call it page dash about page. And then, of course, it would set itself as well. Going back to what I was saying about the order, you see here this order number 4. So I've been able to say, right, I've changed the order this way. Now, like I said before, you've got two ways of doing this. You can either set the order this way on, or you can apply code to then use the likes of the WordPress menu, and you'll be able to set the menu here, which then this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, where you would declare using the menu in something called the functions file. Now, the functions file, of course, is basically what rules are you putting in place to that theme. And one of the biggest ones that I put in straight away is allow thumbnails. So if you post them on social media, then the thumbnail would show up. So if I go on Facebook Debugger, for example, where this is a great tool to see how it's going to look, prestigelodge.co.uk/about. If I hit debug and see how it looks, what that will be actually in an about page. So of course that should come up with an error. But if we look at this page here. So let me check. This will be Fallowfield Lodge. Right, okay, so like you say, we said it isn't there. So if we look at this page here, the idea is what has been set as the featured image will appear when it decides to load. And that's what it would look like if you then post it on social media. Facebook, of course, that was exactly how it looked, but LinkedIn and Twitter, or if there's any other platforms that I can't think of, will bring this through. And of course, if you make change to the theme, you can always go in and like resend this information to it, the likes of the Facebook debugger. I'm pretty sure there's a Twitter one as well, just don't use it as often to use this. So yeah, I could go and replace that to something else and pull it through. So that's what I was saying about the functions file, about I always have to post thumbnails as well. The other thing that I enable as well, which is I think it's enabled as a standard, and it's something that I think is really useful, is your revisions. I always have that enabled. I don't have it disabled, but you can actually disable it on themes if you ever wanted to. I don't know why you would do it, but there is rules there where you can do such things. Let me go through a couple of settings, and that will more or less cover the demonstration, and then I'll ask any questions. I've already said about the title. I've said that earlier on. What else pulls through off a theme? Nothing on the writing section. Reading I've already discussed, and then with the blog, it pulls in automatically from the WordPress functionality. And if you want to do a bit more theming, you can set themes to say, right, well, I want to have a certain layout for how the blog page looks, where it's like the index.php, and then you've got single dash post.php. We've not mentioned on this site, but you can go down that route to then start styling what your posts are going to look like. There's not really a lot on discussion. Let me check. Media doesn't really matter there. Permalinks, that one is basically more about how you want the structure to be, and same again, that's a part of WordPress core. Let me, I think I've mentioned everything on here. Yeah, so of course, like I say, you've got the theme, appearance themes. To install your own theme, it's a case of like you drop it in the folder, or if you're given a zip file, you do add new, upload theme, and then of course be able to upload it from WeTransfer or however it's been sent to you. Is there anything that you want me to cover in particular, or if you have any questions, then I am happy to fire away with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. We're all waving and clapping here in our respective homes, and you did excellent for time. We totally have time for questions. So you
Good.
did
I can ramble,
answer.
I can waffle, but presentation,
No,
I can cut them short.
someone asked about what photo slider you're using, but I see it was Gallery by Statistic. So I put that link in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that one, this was before Gutenberg, which I started using that, and I just think it's a really nice slider. And this is not to do with theming as such, but I've just always liked how responsive it is on mobile and desktop for just this sort of thing. It's using a JavaScript library. I've just always found it really nice to use.
Fantastic. So again, any other questions for John, please drop them in the chat or raise your hand on Zoom and he can get to it. I'll ask a question while people are thinking. John, where would you send people if they were interested in starting to learn to code their own themes? Is there a course you recommend, or a blog, or a website, a resource that you would send beginner people who are interested?
Yeah, if you want to go down very sort of early level, I would recommend W3 Schools to practice HTML, CSS, and PHP, and basically the fundamentals of those languages alone. JavaScript at this point is not a necessity, but then it's desirable for animation in the future. It's been a case where I've just found articles on Google, and WP Beginner, I think, has quite a few tools. Now, I'm happy to go and find uh, any links that I know is really good, but it's been a case for me. I found an article, put the core files in, literally had them empty, and then it's a case of like any website that I've ever built before WordPress, built a header file, built a footer file. I know they're going to be consistent across the board, and then I built the inner template. So in this case, the page.php. And then as I've gone on, I've then learned more about how theming should work, and then being able to say, right, okay, I've got a template, great, it looks good, but then how do I want to be more bespoke about it? And then I've adapted over time. And like I was rightly saying there, that one is quite a basic site. I've not covered blog templates with that yet. There is other rules I could put into the functions file, like we're saying with disable and variations, or is there other options that you want to give? It's just a case of if you can get something looking good and be able to hard code it, like I say, with HTML, CSS, great start. You can always then go back in and add in the variables of stuff you can change. Is it the standards like the WP, the content, which is coming through from Gutenberg, or do you then use a tool like Advanced Custom Fields or the custom fields built into WordPress to then add the functionality to change stuff yourself?
Excellent. Thank you for that. And of course, anyone else here? Oh, Earthkeeper Selena, thank you so much. Did you want to speak directly to John, or would you like me to read out the question that you have? Happy to do either. Just in case maybe you're unable to do it. Okay, I'll ask for them, and if they find their microphone, then they can absolutely pipe in. Says,
Mhm.
I'm a beginner with an outdated website that is more than 5 years old. Would you recommend starting a new site or spending time to update the present one? Suggestions for a theme for a health and wellness site.
I think it depends on how much you want to change. If you think you're going to change quite a bit, it's going to be one of them. It's the question you need to be asking yourself: are you going to spend more time tinkering, or you're better off going from start to finish? And of course, that's just kind of rewording the question there. Honest opinion for me, I prefer build from start to finish because one, I know it's my own work, and if I then want to go and change stuff in the future, I know exactly what I've built. That's my personal preference. I've always said to people I prefer to build a new website and even do it for a little bit cheaper than cost price sometimes if it's the case of between that and transferring from another bespoke build, because then I find problems in the bespoke build that I haven't built, or it could be that outdated. It's like, okay, it's going to take me longer to fix something. So going back to my personal preference here, I prefer doing a new build, and if it's not doing it bespokely, then I would recommend using something like Divi or Themify, where you get a lot of flexibility of your own control in comparison to a free theme on WordPress.
Thank you.
Anyone? Okay, is that okay for you? Does that answer your question? Yeah, I think your lips moving. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I see that.
thank you. Yeah, that was very helpful.
Okay.
Anyone else for John's questions? And I appreciate, you can go deep with John too. He might not have shown something on one theme, but I know he has breadth of knowledge. So if you got a niggling pebble in your shoe about
I'm waiting on
deeper.
Andrew to unmute himself, because in our presentation, he's normally the first person to ask a question. I mean, it's either like he says, I know everything, or he's shy, I don't know which one. But hey, oh. And you know that I'm basically going to be doing this same presentation with my internal staff to show them like what WordPress is actually about. And I might even do this later in the year at our WordPress North East, so our guys might see it twice.
I have one more question for you, John.
Okay.
So you create these bespoke themes for your clients,
Yeah.
right? A lot of
Yeah.
us, we don't do bespoke. We're either buying something like Divi or GeneratePress or some
Yeah.
other third party. So for you, from a business perspective, what do you do to ensure that your theme will be updated? Because things happen, you know, the nature of WordPress changes. So would you tell me a little bit about what you do from an upkeep of themes? So it's kind of business question, but also like, I made a theme. Okay, John,
Oh,
now what?
so. Well, a good thing is about when you're doing a bespoke theme is that you're using the standard WordPress functionality to build this theme, and you're not integrating various plugins. Normally, when you have a theme update, like you say, like Divi, it's more not the actual theme, how it looks is what you update. It's more the control panel within that you're updating on the security aspect, or it's more the database. Where with a lot of my themes, like I say, I've got a corporate license for advanced custom fields, and it's more keeping advanced custom fields up to date, or other plugins like WordFence for the antivirus, or Yoast SEO within for that sort of stuff. There's actually not a lot to do in relation to the security aspect of the theme. Now, it's more a case of visual layout, as where devices change, where, of course, with mobile and tablet, of course, they're getting more popular, or is, to be honest, CSS version has not changed for a while. And really, in this instance, the PHP version is not massive. If I notice a big WordPress update, of course, I can go in and change them. Now, on a business aspect, one thing that I do quite often is be able to duplicate the theme and say, right, yeah, change the theme name folder, change the style.css to whatever title it may be, and give it a new screenshot PNG, and then go in and change the variations, because then sometimes it'd be a case, okay, I've kind of got the same website, but change a few fonts, change a few colors, and then the rest is already there built. So I've used that sort of theme that I remember building, it took me a good few days to build the first version, but then as time's gone on, it's improved as I've built more for other clients. And then I've learned something more, and I maybe use that code to then go and update the old ones, because I've already applied to a new one and we know it works. So it is a scenario that it's just, I don't have a one size fits all answer, but they're the considerations that I have as time goes on.
Excellent. And we have one last question for the night. And of course, you can also ask more in the chat afterwards. So we do want to move over to the last part. That's from Liz. Liz, would you like me to read that aloud, or would you like to ask John yourself? Okay. So Liz asks, are you working offline with a home server during development? And is that BB editor, or what code editor are you using?
Right. Well, I know you can use offline code editors like WAMP, and funny enough, I had that conversation with a guy yesterday who was debating about getting some really cheap hosting just to build like a very small website. Personally, because I've also got the utilities to host websites at ANC level, what I normally do is do a test domain. So I've got like .advertise1 server. So I would say uh, like test site 2, or like in this case, like Falafel dot, and then put it on a test domain while I build it. Now, to do the core files, of course, I am using something like I'm using Sublime Edit, which is, I just prefer that when I'm doing individual files. Now, if you want to have it more where you've got more the files in a left column of a directory, or be able to search across multiple files for variables, then the other program which I use is Komodo Edit. I've been a fan of the two of them. The bigger projects, I definitely use Komodo, or sites that I load up quite a lot. But if it's just a case of I just need to update a file really quickly, then with Sublime Edit, it's a free program. I know it says that you should get the purchase license, a bit like WinZip and WinRAR. I'm never bothered. It's a tool that is really nice to give you the colors, and it also tells you if there's errors as well within the code. For example, you haven't closed a PHP bracket, or you haven't closed let's say a title.
Thank you. I just found my microphone. Thanks. That's great.
Oh, okay, because you had time to look for it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, John. I'm going to stop the